Hi, this is JT. Welcome to another episode of The Critical Thought. In this episode, we're going to take a look at one of our previous videos that we did. This video was based on 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5 and 6. And what it dealt with is one of the number one shocking things about Jesus, that a Jehovah's Witness would not tell a person at their door. We've often discussed that if I have known certain things about the Jehovah's Witnesses before getting involved, a lot of people would have not. Well, this is one of them. And that is the issue of realizing that Jehovah's Witnesses teach that Jesus is not your mediator. Well, after we did the video, we got a lot of comments. And the comments, they range from one extreme all the way to the other extreme. But there was one comment that was left that really caught my attention for multiple reasons. It really drives home what we have tried to stress on our site. And that is, do your research, do your homework. Don't just accept what someone tells you, but check for yourself. There was a gentleman, his name was Ken, and I want to share with you what his comments were. And we're going to take a look at it, we're going to break it down, and what you're going to see is a lot of different components and pieces that really demonstrate for you to see for yourself why we are called critical thinkers, taking the time to examine what we were taught. Now, let's get started with what Ken says. Ken starts out like this. He says, okay, now I see why these two clowns are no longer Jehovah's Witnesses. So out the gate, he starts off with the insults. Now, we've learned over a period of time that whenever people are using insults, even the Watchtower will tell you, when someone is using insults against you, they basically have no argument for the issues that you are raising. But watch this. This gets really good. He says, while the majority of us was sitting in the kingdom hall, learning that Jesus is the mediator between God and man, people like these two were hearing something else. We continue. I've been a Jehovah's Witness for over 45 years, and I have never heard that Jesus was not our mediator. Now let's go ahead and take it on home. It's no telling what these two comedians will say next. But one thing I can guarantee you is this, and Ken says, they won't stop distorting what Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Now, this is a very powerful post because see what Ken does, he lays out that, we're clowns. Okay, insult. Okay, we got that. But then he qualifies himself. He says, I have 45 years being in this organization, so I know what I'm talking about. That's what he said. He goes on to say, most of us, we were sitting at the Kingdom Hall learning that Jesus is our mediator. That's what he said. He said, I don't know what JT and Daniel was listening to. And so after I read this, I said to myself, you can't even get mad at him. You can't even get mad at him. You can't get upset. All you can do is feel pity. Here's a person with almost half a century of being in this religion, and he doesn't even know the most basic teaching of Christianity, that Jesus is your mediator. So what did I do? I responded back. Now we know Jehovah's Witnesses, they love the two witness rule. Got to have two witnesses. So what I did, I provided Ken with not two, but 4 references directly from the Watchtower. These were the references that I provided for Ken.
Reference number 1. Questions from readers. April 1st, 1979 Watchtower, page 31. Is Jesus the mediator only for anointed Christians? Reference number 2. Watchtower study article. November 15th, 1979 Watchtower, page 26, paragraph 20. Reference number 3. Watchtower publication, Worldwide Security under the Prince of Peace. The Way to Enjoy Peace with God, pages 10 and 11. And reference number 4. Questions from readers. August 15th, 1989 Watchtower, page 31.
Then, of course, Ken responds back. And I want to share with you what Ken said. Ken made the following statement. He said, I have read that scripture many times, 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5, and never have I heard it taught that Jesus was not our mediator. Now, of course, we got to ask the question, where was Ken at? You see, the reference that we showed, Ken was a Jehovah's Witness at the time. In fact, one of those was a study article. So Ken sat down, did his study article, went to the Kingdom Hall, raised his hand, gave comments, walked out the Kingdom Hall. And as he said, I ain't heard and learned nothing. That's sad. That's sad. This man doesn't even know what he believes. See, it's one thing to argue about a belief. It's another thing to argue about something and your church don't even teach it. Your religion doesn't even teach it. He's arguing a belief that his religion doesn't even teach. And that is the reason why we keep telling people, do your research. Ken goes on. Now this really gets good. He says, trust me, the average Jehovah's Witness thinks that Jesus is our mediator. That is a very powerful statement. This man is letting you know that if you actually do a survey among the average Jehovah's Witness, and Ken got 45 years backing him up. Ken is telling us if you ask the average Jehovah's Witness on the street that you see come to your door, that you see with the little carts, do you see who are calling you up on all these phone calls they're doing now? He says the average witness don't even know that. That is so sad. But this is probably the most interesting part of his comment. He says, now if the governing body thinks that Jesus is the mediator only for the governing body, then I have to disagree. Wow. He's disagreeing with the governing body, that Jesus is not the mediator for just the governing body and the rest of those who call themselves anointed. He says, I have to disagree. But watch this. With that, until I get a better understanding. That's amazing. He reads the scripture. He knows what it says, but he has to change. Doesn't matter. That's why we tell people it doesn't matter. Whatever the Watchtower says, a Jehovah's Witness can read it from the Bible, disagree with the governing body, and then turn around and say, I just need to understand a little bit better. If I could just understand a little bit better, I'll be okay. That's amazing. These are the things that make a high control group a high control group. A person can read it with his own eyes from the Bible, and yet he will say, I'm going to wait till the society changes and I can better understand it and I'll be okay. This is why it's so difficult to talk to our family members. This is why it's so difficult to talk to people we want to share this with. They have been so conditioned, and I tell people all the time, if the Watchtower doesn't say it, doesn't matter. You can show them all the magazines, books, whatever. They're going to go with whatever defends the Watchtower. Because a Jehovah's Witness is programmed. He is taught, defend the organization at all costs. All costs. Your mama, your daddy, your brother, your sister, you defend this organization. And as a result, we see what the result is to families and people who have been friends for years. They're going to side with whatever they're told. But then King goes on to make an interesting statement. He says, but this is not a deal breaker. And he just found out that Jesus is not a mediator. And as he said, there's no deal breaker for me if Jesus ain't my mediator. No. It's no deal breaker for me. I don't care if Jesus is my mediator or not. I'm going with what the society says, what the branch says. Okay? That's what he basically is saying. He says it's not a deal breaker. And here's why. What you don't understand, JT, and what a few people have misled you about is that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses have come to a different understanding of some of the things taught at the Kingdom Hall. Yes, Ken, I do understand that. I do understand that a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are coming to a different understanding of what is being taught at the Kingdom Hall. And how do I know that, Ken? Because they're leaving. They're leaving. That's why they're leaving. They're coming to understand a lot of the things that are being taught down at the Kingdom Hall simply isn't true. Now, what's interesting, he makes this statement as if it's a positive thing. But what Ken doesn't know is he is actually part of a religion that says you cannot have a different understanding of what the scripture says. I'll say it again. The Watchtower teaches that a mature Jehovah's Witness does not harbor or think of any other understanding than what the Watchtower says. A mature Jehovah's Witness. So for the Jehovah's Witnesses at the Kingdom Hall, as Ken says, who have a different understanding of scripture, the Watchtower says they're immature Christians. So in his effort to seem as though he is making a wonderful statement, he literally condemns himself because he's part of a religion that doesn't allow him to have a different view, a different understanding of scripture. He's an immature Jehovah's Witness, is what the Watchtower says. Notice the quote. And this is why we enjoy taking the time to read the comments that people leave behind. Some of them are just so revealing because what they show, and it's very sad, because many of us were actually in the same place that many of these individuals who left comments are at right now. You want to defend the organization. You read things that's put in front of you. You know what it says, but within you, you have been trained. I must fall in line. I must fall in line. Even though your mind is telling you falling in line is going to be wrong. But more and more people realize I can't do that anymore. I just can't do that anymore. And that is why we're seeing more and more people coming up on channels like ours and many of the others. These are dedicated, baptized Jehovah's Witnesses who are coming onto these sites and they're posting, they're commenting. There's no need to make up anything on the Watchtower. By means of their own publication and by means of their members coming onto these forums, providing a confirmation of what they say and what they do. It is simply amazing. So we just wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you. We thought you'd find it interesting. If you have any experiences that you found in terms of how this information that we went over in this video about how Jesus is not your mediator, if you would like to relate stories that you may have of witnesses that you may have told or asked about this and their response, we welcome you. Put your comments down below. We look forward to reading them. This has been JT.
This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers.